Researching the phenomena of UFOs is not without its pitfalls. From amazing fakes tricking people into believing contact is occurring, to straight out lies suckering people, all to make a quick buck. There is, however, a price that once paid cannot be refunded. That price? A person's life. There have, over the many years of ufology study, been the claims that UFO investigators are being eliminated by the Men in Black. Could this be true? Let's take a look. Welcome to IF, videos on history and mystery. Hit that subscribe button and ring that bell so you never miss a video again. We begin with the story of a young researcher just 32 years old. The newlywed man had his whole life ahead of him, and it was allegedly cut short by the nefarious Men in Black. The man, named Gaurav Tiwari, was found dead in his flat in northwestern region of India. The scene presented itself to police investigators as very mysterious. The newspaper, the India Times, reported on the strange death, saying that it was a bizarre suicide. Suicided being a term that is often used when talking about events such as this. Suicided is the term that refers to a person's death at the hand of another, which is then made to look as if they took their own life. Many famous cases have been reported, from Marilyn Monroe to Frank Olson, the MK Ultra operative, who is the subject of the amazing documentary Wormwood. I recommend you give it a watch. It really shows the capabilities of the alphabet agencies to hide a murder. Back to Mr. Tiwari. The man's relatives said that as a newlywed, they could think of no reason for him wishing to end his own life, and that he seemed normal in the days and weeks leading up to his death. Talking about the death of his son, Mr. Tiwari Sr. explained that he was sat on the lower floor of their house, underneath the bathroom, drinking coffee and chatting with his wife. They were then startled by a loud thud coming from the bathroom above. Running upstairs to investigate the sound, they came across the body of their son, which lay unresponsive on the floor. All attempts to revive him failed. The police were then called, and they said that they had discovered a dark line running around his neck. This indicated that some type of garrote had been used to asphyxiate Gaurav. They later added that a fall could be the cause of the man's death, slipping on the bathroom floor and hitting his head, which inflicted a fatal wound. But what about the marks on his neck? Could they have been made by a fall? This is when the story begins to get a little strange. Talking about the time before the man's passing, the mother told of how he had expressed concern to her about negative forces around him. The father adding that the family were not particularly believers in the supernatural, and to hear a strange statement like this from their son had them a little confused. This is when a twist is introduced to the story, as it would seem the parents were unaware that their son was the founder of the Indian Paranormal Society, and that he took part in regular TV shows. For these TV shows, he investigated thousands of haunted and strange sites, looking for ghosts, spirits, and extraterrestrials. The theory is that the young man stumbled into something he was not meant to see or know, and this led to his death. One idea is that he uncovered evidence of UFO contact in the distant past, and this is why he had to be silenced. Anyone who would like to investigate that idea further, I recommend heading over to Praveen Mohan's channel, Phenomenal Travel Videos. He really takes a deep dive into the subject and shows supporting evidence. This is where conspiracy enters the story, as many people made efforts to connect this tragedy to a series of other UFO researchers' deaths. They claim that many other UFO investigators have died in suspicious circumstances. Over the years, the field has been studied. A list of suspicious deaths was compiled by Professor G. Cope Schilhorn. This list shows more than 6 UFO researchers, investigators, authors, alien contactees, and military personnel, whom are said to have died in a series of strange deaths, which have been disguised as normal passings from causes such as heart attack, sudden onset cancers, and of course, supposed suicides. This list was, however, not the first. It was added to a record of 137 other suspicious deaths that occurred between the 1960s and 70s. This list, put together by Otto Binder. Opinions are split within the ufology community on the validity of these claims, with many saying that only hardcore conspiracy theorists believe that secret men in black are working for government agencies and are eliminating those that get a little too close to revealing the truth of what they have hidden. For those that think that way, I say read up on the story of Frank Olson, the man we mentioned earlier, or watch the documentary Wormwood. It may just change your mind. Those that have investigated these mysterious deaths say that it goes back further to one of the most famous UFO sightings ever, the one which gave us the term flying saucers. This thanks to an over-enthusiastic newspaper reporter's recount of this man's story. The man obviously being Kenneth Arnold. Arnold, the man who famously saw a fleet of UFOs in 1947. Kenneth Arnold was called in to investigate the sighting of 6 donut-shaped UFOs by Harold Dahl. He spotted the UFPs whilst he was sailing his boat near Moray Island. This case is well documented if you wish to read up on it. The investigation was something Arnold was underprepared for and could not cope with, so he invited 2 Air Force intelligence agents, Captain Davidson and Lieutenant Brown, to help him interview the witnesses. This is when things take a sinister turn, the government wishing to silence those that report these strange occurrences of objects flying in the sky. This brings us to the UFO researcher Philip Schneider. The man became increasingly fearful for his safety. He said that government vans had followed him and that they had made several attempts to run his car off the road. January 1996. His body was discovered in his locked apartment after concerned friends broke down the door. This is when we see something very similar to the case from India. It was first thought that he had died from a stroke, but then an autopsy found that rubber tubing had been wrapped and knotted around his neck, the coroner giving a verdict of death by suicide. The man's wife and friends refused to accept this. To add to their suspicions, Mr. Schneider was found with his legs stretched out under his bed and his head resting on the seat of his wheelchair, a difficult position for a man to get himself into before committing suicide. There was also blood nearby, which did not seem to be from the dead man. This odd death was then added to when the writings which he used in his UFO lectures went missing. This when other valuables in the apartment were left untouched. His family are still searching for answers to this day. Another disturbing case is Ron Rummel. The ex-Air Force intelligence agent and publisher of the Alien Digest allegedly shot himself in the mouth with a pistol. However, no blood was found on the pistol barrel, and the handle of the weapon was free of fingerprints. A suicide note left by the dead man was written by a left-handed person. Rummel was right-handed. The sweat on the body was said to have smelt like sodium pentanol. Interestingly, Rummel was friends with Phil Schneider, and the two had been working together. The strange deaths keep coming. Anne Livingston died in 1994 from a fast form of ovarian cancer. A MUFON investigator and a writer, she had published an article on the electronic harassment and alien abduction. The article was highly critical. The timeline for the series of events before her death is extremely bizarre. At 7:15 AM, December 29th, 1992, Livingston's apartment close to O'Hare Airport in Chicago, Illinois, was illuminated brightly by a silvery white flash. Later, in her apartment parking lot, she was kidnapped by 5 men in black. She described these men as faceless and that they carried long, flashlight-like black objects. She was knocked out, coming around later back in her apartment. What had these MIB done to her? Could it be anything to do with her later rapidly advancing ovarian cancer? Who or what was killing UFO investigators in the past? Are they still operating today? Cancer has claimed the lives of many that work or who are active in the ufology community. But cancer is the second leading cause of death globally and was responsible for an estimated 9.6 million deaths in 2018. It would be stranger if people in the UFO community didn't pass away from this terrible disease. Many remain unconvinced that UFO researchers are repeatedly being erased. They say it would be far easier for government agencies to discredit UFO researchers. Or could it be that mysterious men in black are in fact alien and that they are the ones behind the murders? Their goal to eliminate anyone who has gotten too close to the truth about their operation here on planet Earth. What do you think is going on here? Are these deaths and murders down to the explanation given by officials, or something else? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. If you like what we do here on the channel, hit that subscribe button, like and share. You can catch the latest by searching We Are If. If you would like to support the channel, links can be found in the description. Thanks so much for watching. See you next time.